What's up, family? So I need you to sit down for this one because we got to talk about what happened in the WNBA. And I'm telling you, it's looking real iffy. It's got a stench on it, a stench that smells less like a hard fought basketball game and more like a scripted television show. So we are being told that Paige Bueckers went out there and had the game of her life, a 44-point masterpiece, a historic explosion, and the stats are unbelievable, but I don't just look at the box score. I look at the soul of the game. And what I saw raises some serious questions, not just about basketball, but about what we value, about the difference between earning something and being giving something. And for this story, obviously, um, we got to talk about it because the game took place in LA where the bright lights of Hollywood might be shining a little too bright on the basketball court. And they want you to believe you just saw the legend being born. But what if you were really just watching a script being played out? And what if the whole thing was a lie, right? So, setting the stage, Paige Bucker, she dropped a mind boggling 44 points, tying a WNBA rookie record that stood for nearly 30 years. The internet's going crazy. The talking heads are screaming from the mountaintops, but I'm not buying the fairy tale they selling because me watching the tape, and the question isn't how did Paige score 44. The real question is how was she allowed to? And I'm not hating. I'm just being very objective, because I like to look at everything in the details in its entirety. And shout out to her for 44 points. If that's how they legitimately say that the 44 points are credible, but the league wants you to believe she's just that good. A phenom, a basketball god in the making. But when you see the evidence, when you look past the stat line and see the actual plays, you're going to start asking the same questions I am. Was this a legitimate competitive basketball game between two professional teams fighting for a win? Or was this a coordination, a showcase designed to manufacture a hero right before our very eyes? And this isn't just about the game. This is about integrity. This is about the hard questions we need to ask ourselves. Do we want our heroes to be built in a lab or forged in the fire? So I want to break down a little bit of the tape to expose what's really going on. And by the end of this, you'll be looking at the game and maybe a lot of other things differently, right? So, okay, before we dive into the conspiracy, you have to understand the numbers because the numbers themselves are the first red flag. This wasn't just a great game, it was presented as a historic, once in a generation event. 44 points that ties the great Cynthia Cooper for the WNBA rookie scoring record, a record that has been sitting there untouched since 1997. But it's how that's but it's the how that got me raising my eyebrows because she shot 17 for 21 from the field, right? She shot 17 for 21 from the field. That's 81% shooting, and she was a perfect 4 for 4 from the 3-point range and a perfect 6 for 6 from the free throw line. And here's the stat that should make the alarm bells go off in your head. In the entire history of the WNBA, no player has ever scored over 40 points while shooting over 80% from the field, and Paige was the first. So if you think about that, think about all the legends that have played on that court. Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, Aja Wilson. None of them ever had a game that perfect. Does that sound like a real hard fought battle to you? Or does that sound like a video game on a rookie mode? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And that's where my conspiracy come in, and somehow the weirdness with everything and how things played out, right? And I want to bring up the stats so you guys see for yourself. I like to bring the receipts. I like to show what I'm talking about so you guys can get the full context. So, these Buckers right here. Oh, that's not the game. Oh, what game was it? Let me see. Mm-hmm. Mm. There we go. Okay. All right. So that's the box score, right? So I'm not trying to hate on Paige Bueckers, but the woman is a bucket. She's got talent for days. I give her that. But we all got to be real. This isn't just about giving credit. This is about protecting the, how can I put this? This is about protecting the sanctity of competition. We watch sports because we want to see human potential pushed to its limits against resistance. We want to see the struggle. We want to see the people overcome adversity. And that's what inspires us. And that's how we resonate with our favorite players, right? So let's talk about Caitlin Clark. When she came into the league, what did we see? We saw every team, every single night, throw the kitchen sink at her, traps her at half court, box and ones, physical bruising defenses, and they were bumping her challenger and making her earn every single point. Why? Because that's what you do to a superstar. You're trying to stop them, the adversity, that struggle, and that's what's making her great. That's what proves her greatness. But are we seeing the same fire thrown at Paige? And the talk online is simple. It's growing louder because the Sparks didn't just let Paige score. It felt like they were told to. It felt like the game plan was to make her look like a superhero. And this wasn't just one bad defensive game. This felt like a league wide memo went out. Because the feeling that the powers that be want Paige to be the face, maybe because they think she's more marketable, maybe for reasons we don't even know. And that's a disservice to everyone. It's a disservice to the fans who pay their hard earned money to see a real contest. And it's a disservice to every other player on that court. And frankly, it's a disservice to Paige herself because true greatness, the kind that lasts, isn't given to you. It's forged, it's built through failures, through struggle, through nights where you should shoot, or where you will shoot, or where you shot, or where you shoot 7 for 21, not just 17 for 21. So let's stop looking at the box score because the box score tells you a story, but the tape tells the truth. So let's turn to the tape and see what's really happened. All right. Because now we get to the evidence, and this is where you have to use your basketball eyes. And this isn't about one bad call or missed rotation. This is about a pattern, a consistent, undeniable pattern of defensive malpractice that always conveniently ended with the ball in Paige Bucker's hands for an easy shot. So let's look at play number one, and I could call this the ghost closeout, right? So when you look at it, this is her at the free throw line or whatever the case may be, right? So Paige got the ball, whatever, shoots it, boom. So when you look at these things, she pops up to the top of the key, boom, effortless. You got Kelsey Plum on her, she fades away the little mid range shot. So when you seen Paige get the ball, right? About 25 feet out. Her defender is in the paint. The pass come and the defender starts to run off the contested shot. And this is why they teach you in middle school close out on the shooter, right? So that's her in the wing. Nobody's not even in front of her. So she puts up a hand. Or so when you look at it like that, when it comes to the ghost closeout, she's out 24 feet. Paige gets the ball on the wing. The pass comes. The defender starts to run out the contested shot. You know, to close out the in middle school, they teach you to close out the shooter, but watch what she does because she runs towards Paige, but then just kind of stops. And she puts a hand up from 10 feet away, and it's the illusion of defense, and it's for the camera. And it's like when your boss walks by your desk and you start typing just faster to look busy, and you're not actually working. So you perform an idea of work, and that's what this looks like, and that's it. That's what this is. So a performance of defense Paige had all day. She could have set her feet, checked the wind, said a prayer, and then knocked it down. And she did swoosh, right. So That's one of her 4 threes, easy money. And then when you look at the other one, play number 2 that I want to talk about before we watch more of the clip, the parting of the Red Sea, let's call it, right? Because this one is even worse. Paige gets the screen to the top of the key. This is a basic basketball play. You either switch or you help or you hedge hard and recover, right? So let me re-say that. Paige gets a screen at the top of the key. This is basic basketball. You either switch or you hedge hard and recover, right? You get around the screen. So the Sparks, they did neither. The defender guarding the screener just stood there flat-footed like a statue in a museum. She didn't step up. She didn't challenge. The on-ball defender got hit by the screen and just gave up on the play. And this created a lane to the basket so wide you could drive a truck through it. So Paige takes on one dribble, gets into the paint. There's no help on defense. 0. The other 3 Sparks players are just watching, admiring the show. Easy layup. Ask yourself this: in what professional basketball game does a team just let the other team best player walk right down Main Street for a layup? So what does that teach anyone watching? That when things get tough, you just step aside because that you don't have to fight through the obstacles, because it's a bad look for the sport and it's a bad lesson for life. But it gets more disrespectful because this is play number 3, and then I'll call these plays out that I was talking about by what I'm calling them by when we watch the rest of the clip. So the play number 3, we're gonna call it the invisible trap, right? And this is the one that really gets me because late in the game, Paige has the hot hand. She's already got like 30 something points. She come off another screen. Now look, you got 1, 2, 3 Sparks players all in the immediate vicinity. Any sane basketball coach from high school to the pros just screaming, trap them, get the ball out of her hands. But what do? Nothing. They stand there, all 3 of them. They look at each other and nobody moves. And it's a collective failure of will. It's like seeing a problem right in front of your face and everyone just assumes someone else will handle it. And that's how communities fail. And that's how businesses fail. And that's how you give up a wide open jump shot to the person on the floor you're supposed to be stopping. And it defies logic. It defies the spirit of competition. It suggests the defense she was facing simply wasn't real. And they weren't playing a role, and their role was to be the Washington Generals to her Harlem Globetrotter, because that's what this looked like, right? So now that I mentioned these 3 things that I'm talking about evidence wise, let me rewind the clip and then we're gonna talk about it, right? So that's her at the free throw line. She got the ball. She come up to the top of the key. Player acting like she defending from behind when you know you got to stay in front. Okay. Paige gets the Kelsey Plum defending her. Fades off, hand and face. Okay, mid-range shot, fade away. Come to the top of the wing. Mid-range shot. Now that is that and that's the ghost closeout, right? Because she just stepped in and just did a shot. But when I mentioned the ghost closeout, when she got the pass off the wing, the defender's starting to run to the shot, run to contest the shot, but you far as hell away. Like, look at you. She got the ball from the wing. The defender getting around the screen, we get it. But why wouldn't y'all just switch if that's the case? I mean, I mean 9 times out of 10 because it'll be a mismatch. But how the hell you think you're gonna defend that ball when she already in front of the free throw line, mid-range shot, and you just acting like you put your hand up when you put your hand up in front of her, not even in front of her face or to even contest the ball? It's a joke. So that's the ghost closeout, I call it. Then this is where you see her with the ball. Passes it, that's her little assist or whatever. It's her with the ball again. Do a little floater. Gets the ball. That's the open layup that I was talking about, right? Just going right down Main Street. 0 defense whatsoever. Didn't try to stay in front or anything. That's what I call part in the Red Sea, right? That was the second clip, the second evidence that I was talking about. It was like just let her blow right by her. Didn't try to shuffle fast enough or anything. That was her assist. Now, this is the three players that I'm talking about. Now, this is a zone. This could be specifically, I know it as in middle school and high school 2-3 zone. You got two players on the front of the block, and you got one player down low that's, watching out for backdoor passes and stuff like that, transition. Now, she jumped up, right? But my thing is, if y'all supposed to be trapping, right? She's in the middle. So y'all could close the middle because that's the whole point of 2-3, right? And then as the ball get passed on top of the key, you shift. So then the person on the block will go to the wing, the other person on the other side of the block will go to the other wing, and then y'all close in so they don't go right down Main Street and go right down the middle. But then you have someone on the block right here who was there. So you're supposed to close up that whole down low, right? You wasn't even supposed to be able to get down low. The whole point is to push them out to take a shot from the three and contest them more outwardly than letting them come in the paint and score so easily, right? So, and you're supposed to be trapping so you get the ball out the hand. So why in the world is everybody acting like they don't know what the hell they doing? And that's the invisible trap that I'm talking about. Because nobody's trying to get the ball really out of her hands and trap her. They're just letting her ball out, shooting threes and shit like it ain't nothing. So that's my whole point with that. That's the evidence what I had to get. So the $1 million question is why? Why would a professional team in a game with playoff implications essentially refuse to play defense on one player? Why would the league want this? The motive from where I'm sitting is simple. Narrative, control. It's no secret the WNBA has a supernova in Caitlin Clark, but for whatever reason, it feels like they aren't content with just one star. They want a rivalry. They want a debate. And what better way to fuel that fire to have Paige Bueckers put up a historic record tying 44 points, and it creates headlines, it creates debate shows, it lets them push this narrative. Is Paige actually better than Caitlin? So this fallout, the fallout is that it's working, and you got people all over the internet right now, people who only look at the box scores, streaming that Paige is the real queen, as you guys can see. Paige Bueckers has now the most points in a single game by a rookie in WNBA history, you know, and yes, Paige Bueckers is having a solid rookie season, but she's not on Caitlin Clark level, and I agree. Paige is already out of the playoff picture while Caitlin led her team to the postseason her rookie year. Don't let one 44-point game cloud your judgment, and there's a difference between highlights and impact, and that's what I say. That's a real GOAT. The greatest of all time is the one that have the most impact, which will last forever, for centuries, and let alone leave a legacy in the game of basketball, not just stats. But people are literally saying that Paige Bueckers is the real deal. So I'll give you an example, right? Because this is what people are saying. Paige Bueckers made WNBA history. Paige Bueckers is all WNBA Rookie of the Year. F the conversations. Now I'm just giving you the sentiment of what people are saying, right? So that's all I'm telling you. I think you guys get the gist of it, what people are saying. Paige Bueckers got my vote for cashing me out. Paige Bueckers make historic 44 point. Uh, she with elite pace and reads. Bueckers tied the WNBA rookie record. So these are the headlines of things I'm talking about. Imagine a team with Paige Bueckers, Audrey Wilson, and Jackie Young. So, look, you guys get my point. I think I said it enough on how they saying she's the real deal and she's made history and, she's a raw player. the greatest performance in WNBA history, the rookie of the year, and she's all that in a bag of chips, right? So when you look at all this, and people are just looking at box scores. The fallout is working. You got people all over the internet. People who only look at the box score, but they're not looking at the film. They're not seeing the ghost closeouts and the invisible traps. They're swallowing the medicine without checking the ingredients. And that's the poison in all of this. It cheapens the debate. It disrespects both players, and it disrespects the audience's intelligence. And we don't need manufactured drama, because the beauty of the sport is that the drama is real, the struggle is real. So that's what I'm getting at with this whole point, my whole stance of things when it comes to this. People are literally saying Paige Bueckers is better than Caitlin Clark, and I'm ready to have a healthy debate, whoever disagrees. So, look, that's what I'm talking about. That's the conversation that people are trying to say. Nah, Paige Bueckers might be better than Caitlin Clark. Paige is a better basketball player than Caitlin Clark. Clark may have been a generational talent, but Paige is better basketball player overall with a much higher ceiling. Now, this was 21 hours ago, right? So, here's the part that proves the whole thing was a sham. Here's the ultimate irony. After all that, after they let her score 44, they made her look like the second coming of Michael Jordan. They still lost it. They still lost the damn game. You know what I'm saying? So, if you want to be to a last second buzzer beating shot from Kelsey Plum. So if you think about the absurdity of that, you would execute a game plan to let one player get a historic stat line, a game plan that puts your own victory in jeopardy, and then life happens. A contested tough buzzer beater floater by Kelsey Plum snatches the win away. You can't make this stuff up. It's like the basketball guys themselves stepped in and said, I don't care what your script says, this is how the movie is going in. And with that loss, Paige's team, the Dallas Wings, were officially eliminated, which I know for sure that was going to happen, but from playoff contention. So you got your headline, you got your 44 points, and you also got a ticket home for the playoffs. Congratulations. Was it worth it? I mean, that's for you guys to answer. Let me know down in the comments below. So after breaking it all down with the Sparks players in serious trouble for cheating, let's be very clear. The cheating that was happening wasn't about point shaving or throwing the game to lose. The conspiracy here was bigger. The cheating was a cheating of the game itself. It was the feeling of being cheated out of a real competitive contest. And the players on the Sparks aren't going to get fined. They're not in trouble. They're likely executed the game plan they were giving. But that's the problem. The game plan seems to have been don't guard Paige Bueckers, make her look good, sell the story. And this wasn't about helping the Sparks win. It was about propping up a narrative. And all it took was lazy, complicit defense, and it took leaving one of the best shooters on the planet wide open time and time again. And the real tragedy in all this is that Paige Bueckers is a phenomenal transcendent basketball player, and they don't need to do this for her. She could get her own buckets against real defense. She has the talent to build her own legacy brick by brick, fought brick by hard fought brick. But the league, in its infinite wisdom, decided to give her a shortcut, and they're trying to build a castle out of cardboard instead of letting her build one out of stone. And in doing so, they disrespect her journey, they disrespect the fight of every other woman in the league, and they disrespect us, the fans, by asking us to believe in something that feels fundamentally fake. And we have to call a spade, and a spade, my friends, is a spade. So now I have to turn it over to you, my community. I've laid out the evidence. I've shown you the tape. Am I seeing ghosts? Or did you see a defense that looked like it was trying to lose a battle to win a war for the marketing department? And was this just a bad night of basketball, or does this point to a deeper problem of how we consume sports and entertainment? And I want you to think about it and think about your own life. When have you been handed something that you should have earned, and how did you feel, right? And when you have seen a narrative being pushed that didn't just feel real, let me know your verdict in the comments below. I read through some, but I want to hear what you think. And if you want more deep dives like this, where we look past the headlines and search for the truth, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your post notifications on, because We have a lot more to talk about. But in the end, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't write the perfect ending, and it ended with a loss. A painful 1 point loss that knocks a team out of the playoffs, and the final score with the Wings lost 81-80. But for everyone who watched with their basketball eyes open, it felt like the game of basketball itself took the biggest loss, in my opinion. And that's my biggest takeaway. And it's a reminder that true greatness can't be manufactured. Real legacies aren't built on a foundation, real legacies are built on a foundation of struggle, sweat, and sometimes heartbreak and failure. And you can't cheat the grind, and that's the lesson for the court, and it's a lesson for life. So, like always, till next time, I catch you in the next one. On that note, family, I'm out. Peace.